Hello, hello, and welcome back to Alchemical Serenity, the pagan podcast that takes you on your own personal journey. Now, if you are new here, then welcome. Grab a drink, find a seat, and come and sit a while with us around the Druid campfire, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you are already subscribed and you've popped back in for a listen when convenient, then thank you for popping in and supporting me. I hope you all find something of use to you on your path of transformation. Online, there are so many people covering the Wheel of the Year now. There seems to be an influx of people on YouTube, TikTok, Substack, Patreon, lots of people have appeared and sort of come out of nowhere. And whether you are practicing yourself or whether you're just listening in because you would maybe like to practice or you don't know what all this fuss is about, then I was trying to say, how do you find the right answer to any of this at all? We're all on our own path and we're all on that path of transformation. So if you're starting out just now, in a year's time, you could be looking back at what you've learned and thinking, wow, how did I get here? Look at all the things that I've learned. There's also that element of looking at other people and thinking, well, I can't do that. I haven't got time for that in my schedule. I can't fit all that in around the kids, the dogs, animals, work. We all have busy lives to lead, and it's incredibly difficult to try and fit these kind of things in. If you want to do it, I'm sure when there's a will, there's a way, and you'll find a way to do it. I think what I'm trying to get at is I'm trying to say to you, when you're looking to start out on this path of the Wheel of the Year, take your time. And if you've got the time to listen in to 2 or 3 different ways of doing it, or perhaps different podcasts, different YouTube channels, then have a listen in by all means. But find your path from it. I think the difficulty that there's so much out there, isn't there now? It's almost like people have jumped on a bandwagon. I mean, if you've been following my podcast, you'll know that from my experience, I've been doing this for the past 40 years. I've been on this path. I was prompted by Spirit to do this and to follow this path of, I suppose, animism, connected to nature in whatever way. The thing is, though, as you come across new people coming into this, there's so much fakerism. It's shocking. I mean, I don't want to rant in this podcast, but quite frankly, I think I'm getting to the point of having to rant at some point about how much rubbish, I nearly said this crap word then, how much rubbish there is online. However, in saying that, I'm about to talk, and you'll probably go, well, what do you know that's any better than anybody else? Mine is just my experience. It's just where I've gone with my path, and I'm just sharing that with you. I'm not a guru. I'm not here to teach people in any depth at this point in time. Maybe in the future that's something that I'll go into more, but let's see where things go. I have already talked twice on a podcast about Imbolc. If you want to go back and look at those, I will link them in the description notes if you can't be bothered to go and check them out. But there's 2. There's one on Imbolc itself, and there's one on working with the goddess Bridget, Bridie, Brige, whatever you want to call her. Because traditionally, Imbolc has always been celebrated on February the 1st, and this is because it was an easy date for everybody to remember. It's the tradition I grew up with each year over the years, and it marks the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And as more people have come to recognise the seasons and walk in their own path around the Wheel of the Year, the date can change each year to be more specific to you. If you want the exact time and date, go and look for it online. It's all to do astrologically past the left navel of the goddess as she passes through something else's doodah. I cannot be bothered with that faff. That to me is like too much. I will just want to stick to one date, which I can focus my intention on, and I can work with that. And that to me is February the 1st. That is my Imbolc date. I think life is too short, and the energies are what you make of them and how you connect with them before and after the approximate date. There are a few people out there who need to be right on the astrological date. And if you need to be right, and nothing will be perfect unless you have that absolute date, like I said, go and look for it online, enjoy yourself, knock yourself out. What is more important is knowing what you are celebrating, and also what is your why. Why are you celebrating Imbolc? If it's part of your daily life, fantastic. Maybe you've been walking this path for many years or just a few years, even just a few weeks. Or does it mean very little to you? Is it just I've heard about this Imbolc business and I kind of fancy having something to celebrate because, Christmas is gone and we haven't seen any spring yet and I'll keep looking out in the garden and I can't find a snowdrop. Go and check it out and see what works for you. We all have different reasons for the path we walk and the celebrations we honour. And maybe you honour the land, the energies of time, maybe the energies of your place where you are right now. And perhaps you're honouring the energy of the goddess Bridget or Brigantia, Mother Earth. All are just as important to your path because this is your path that you're walking. And maybe you don't even celebrate and you haven't up to now and you've just been wondering what all the fuss is about that everyone's going on about on TikTok and Instagram. Whatever you do you. Because there is no right or wrong way to celebrate any part of the Wheel of the Year. It's just about your human experience and it's what you're learning from it and using it to work with you in your life and how you can weave it in and out if you wish to. Some people will go hell-bent on Imbolc and all the festivals, maybe just light a candle, and then you might find one year it's flown by because you've been so busy doing something. I've had that happen to me before. Something's happened. It's got to something like, I don't know, middle of February, Valentine's Day, let's say, for example. I've gone, oh, Imbolc. Whoops, forgot that one. Because life gets in the way. Nothing stops on this Wheel of the Year. It just takes a rest. And now you can take that rest if you want to, or you can just keep going through and cycling your way through. What we're doing now is we're honouring the seasonal shift from dark winter to new life, knowing that spring isn't far away. And for many, it's just honouring the goddess. If you go and look at my previous podcast on St. Bridget of Kildare, you can listen into that and I'll link it, as I've said before, just to give you some further ideas. On the wheel, it's a cross-quarter date, which means it's a new season about to kick in. There are changes and transformations occurring, and it's purely pagan, Wiccan and Druidry festival. It's not to be confused with the Christian festival of Candlemas, which is on the 2nd of February. For many people, it's about connecting with nature, perhaps a ritual or two, taking a long walk and spending time watching the seasons change. One year, about 8 years ago, on one of my favourite walks, I did a 360-degree video of the same place for 12 months. And it was really interesting to look back a year later and see how it had all changed. I found a spot that was really quite beautiful throughout the year. Did a very slow circle, not too fast, because when you play back to yourself, you make yourself feel sick. Just very slowly went round and created this beautiful 360 of every single month. So if that's something that you'd like to do, then start and do this. Not every month, do it for each festival. Do it for Imbolc, then you've got the spring equinox, we've got Beltane. And as you walk the Wheel of the Year, if you have a favourite place, perhaps try that and see how each season changes and as we move through that wheel and how the landscape around you changes. The goddess Bridget is pre-Christian and it appears in Irish mythology. So she's the daughter of the Dagda and wife of Bress, with whom she had a son, Ruadam. Now, some people have said she's associated with the British Celtic goddess Brigantia, but that does happen with a lot of goddesses, one tradition being associated with that of another. There's no all right or wrong, we just have a bit more information on one than the other. Bridget is the goddess of blacksmiths, poets and mothers. She inspires us with our creative spark we often need to start a new project. And of course, at this time of the year, we are starting to come out of our shells to look at what we want to do for the year. And she is our inspiration. She stokes the eternal flames of wisdom that are passed from one generation to another. I'm not going to go into any more on history, folklore and tradition, as they're all covered in my previous podcast, but I can talk about modern day, your path and what you might like to do to honour yourself, the land, your place, or even a goddess. Simple things are just as important as our large gatherings of friends and family to celebrate, so depending on your time, family commitments and where your personal beliefs lie, here are a few things that you could do. Something very simple is a candle lighting ceremony to honour the goddess or to honour yourself and the return of the light. A simple white candle in a safe candle holder, matches, lighter, whatever you use. And if you have a quiet space, a sacred space, an altar, then place your candle in the holder Sit quietly in your sacred space and think about Imbolc and what the time means to you, about the return of the light, moving from winter's darkness to spring. And if you are wanting to set any intentions for the coming weeks ahead, leading up to the spring equinox, then just sit and think about those too. If you have incense, herbs or oils you wish to use, then use them to purify your space. I like to use Palo Santo to clear my space and my personal energy field. Now, whether you have worked with Brigid or not, you can call upon her energy with respect and gratitude to work with you at this time. Just sit quietly, wait, and you may feel or sense her energy around you. When you're ready, light your candle and just imagine it bringing clarity and creativity. Feel the light and the warmth of Brigid working its way through you. Sit a while, think about all the ways that you would like to be more creative this spring, and imagine that creativity flowing through you. And when you feel your ritual is complete, you can either leave your candle to burn out in a safe space or extinguish it, thanking the goddess for joining you. If you'd like to, you can visit my second channel, which is on YouTube, where I have recorded a meditation to meet Brigid. And I'll give you the link. I'll put it into the description box below for that. Other ways to bring about creativity in Arwen is to spend time outdoors in nature. Take that walk, watch the landscape changing, and think about any changes you would like to bring into your life. Just stop for a moment and imagine where you will be this time next year. And if you come back to the same spot, write a few notes down, or like I've said before, record something on your phone and then return the following year and see what has changed in both you and the landscape around you. Spend time reading and learning about topics that interest you. Get together with friends and family and even your community to be creative, to inspire and to grow. Talking of growing, planting seeds and blessing them at Imbolc will bring about some wonderful energies into your garden or growing space. Think about what you'd like to grow. And in the UK, we have a few gardening magazines on the newsagent shelves with plants and seeds on them. And I managed to pick up one recently that had £20 worth of seeds of all kinds to grow, from salads, leeks, flowers. So as I walk through February, I'll be looking at sowing seeds in my garden. With Brigid being the patron of blacksmiths and therefore fire, you can use this time to have a fire ceremony outdoors. And then there are two types of ceremonies. One is to rid you of any negative thoughts or things that no longer serve you, or to bring about positive energies into your life. Now you can write down either way, whether it's negative or positive, on a small piece of paper, as this is the easy way of doing it. Then with your fire pit ready, cast each one into the fire and allow them to burn with your intentions to either release or receive. You can say words like, I release XYZ, which no longer serves me for my highest good, or I would like to receive XYZ to serve me for my highest good. Then leave it to the universe to get on with it for you. If you have some dried bay leaves, you can use these too, but they're not necessary. I've seen some people writing them spells and writing words of intention to burn on bay leaves. Makes no difference whether you put it on a bay leaf or not. But if you like to enhance the work that you do, and you've got some dried bay leaves, or you can dry them for the future, think about that one as well. Now, I'm sure you can think of many other ways that will inspire you to celebrate the return of the light and to work with you, even if just sitting and joining with the energies in your garden or your sacred space, and be inspired by the primroses and the snowdrops as they appear. Don't forget to check out my YouTube podcast for more inspiration, or just listening to whilst you're walking the dog. You know, I actually listen to lots of podcasts and lots of other... I actually use BBC Sounds at the moment. I have found... get this. I have found that the sleeping podcasts that they do with very gentle, relaxing music, walking through a woodland, I think it is, with birds in the trees, rather than send me to sleep, I actually listen to that as I'm walking my dog. It works. It's a way of focusing my mind as I'm wandering through the trees, and it is absolutely lovely. So we all have our different ways to connect, and there's nothing to say that you've got to follow my path or everything I've written on my, if I'm on my Substack or on Patreon, or anything that I have waffled on about on this podcast. Do what you are inspired to do. Now, if you'd like to listen into more, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I will talk about more on the beautiful path of modern Druidry connected to the earth as we go through the year. I've left links below that you might find interesting in the description box. So on that note, because this wasn't ever meant to be a long podcast, although I think I have waffled far too much than I actually wrote in note form to remind myself to say, and I've waffled again. But my last thing to say is, may the light of the goddess shine her light on you, your family, and your intentions for spring. So with much love and light and peace in your grove, take care and bye for now.